Hello, class. How are you doing? Hope everybody's all right. Um, so, this week we're going to be talking about the Holocaust in Nazi Germany, which can be a really difficult topic to talk about and learn about. Very important to understand and know the history of, but it can be very difficult. So I just want to say, if you're not in a good headspace to talk about this and learn about this right now, or if you feel too overwhelmed, it's okay to step away from this work. I think it's important to learn about, but I also the most important thing is your mental well-being. So just know that it's okay if this is not a good time to delve into this material. We can talk about that. Please get in touch and let me know if you're feeling that way. And I'm here to support you and talk with you in Zoom meetings and during office hours and whenever you need support or want to kind of help processing this content because it's a lot. So just wanted to say that. And also, just generally with the schoolwork, if you are feeling overwhelmed, it's okay to not do every assignment. You can still receive a passing grade without doing every assignment. So I encourage you to look at the rubric that's attached to this week's work. I think all the assignments have value and can help you learn and understand better, but it's not essential to do every one to get a passing grade. And I know we're in different places, so I definitely want to be flexible in terms of, if there are people who are feeling overwhelmed by the amount of work they have. So that's just a couple things. And now I'm going to briefly kind of go over a little bit of background about the Holocaust so you understand what we're learning about this week. So take care, keep in touch. All right. So when we study the Holocaust, some questions to consider are first of all, the main question everyone asks is kind of how could this happen? It's a basic question, but I think it's the first one that really comes to mind for a lot of people. What were the warning signs that preceded the genocide of the Holocaust? Right, this was kind of something that was happened over time. So, what were the early signs and the early kind of factors and that led to this happening? Who were the perpetrators, victims, bystanders, and upstanders during the Holocaust? So we want to think about not just who are the victims and the people who are doing the crimes, the perpetrators, but what about the bystanders and also the upstanders, the people who did try to stand up and do something and put a stop to this? Who were they? And what lessons can we learn from studying the massive size and scope of the Holocaust? This is such a massive event in world history and such a huge and stark example of how horrible humans can be to each other. What lessons can we learn from studying it? So, some important vocabulary for this week is, first of all, genocide. So, the Holocaust was a genocide. That means the deliberate killing of a large group of people, especially those of a particular ethnic group or nation, basically trying to destroy an entire nation or ethnicity or culture. Anti Semitism means prejudice or discrimination against Jewish people. So, anti Semitism existed before the Holocaust, but the Holocaust took it to an extreme that had never been seen before. And then we talked about perpetrators, bystanders, and upstanders. So, a little bit of background. When we talk about the Holocaust, it means destruction or slaughter on a mass scale, and it's usually the Holocaust is refers to this events that happened in Europe during World War II in the 1940s. The Nazis carried out a campaign of ethnic cleansing to attempt to remove and then later to just kill all Jews and other inferior groups or groups that the Nazis deemed inferior, subhuman, not equal to not they not equal to the German people. About 6 million Jews were killed. In addition to that, other groups were killed as well. 7 million Soviet civilians. Germany was fighting against the Soviet Union in World War II, and they killed many Soviet civilians, not just Jews, although many of the Soviet civilians were Jewish. 2 million Polish non Jews, so not just Jewish people, died in the Holocaust. In addition to these groups, there was killing of anyone who the Nazis saw as not, subhuman in various groups. The Nazis' goal was to basically purge or get rid of all inferior groups in society so that only their, quote, master race would remain. And what is really just so profoundly terrible about the Holocaust is this is not the first time people were killed for their ethnic group or their religion, but the Nazis did it on an industrial scale. They turned this into an industrial process of killing that was designed to be as efficient as and kill as many people as possible using all of the modern technology available to them. And I think it is important to understand that not everyone who died in the Holocaust was Jewish. About half of the people who died were Jewish, but there were many other groups who were also persecuted. So I'm Jewish, and in growing up, I was taught that this was a horrible part of our people's history and this terrible thing that happened to the Jewish people, which it was. I mean, I think about a third of all Jewish people on Earth were killed in the Holocaust. So it was a horrible event in the history of Judaism for Jews. But it also affected other groups as well. It's not just something that happened to Jews. The Germans targeted many other groups, as we see here. So, just to understand a timeline, 1933 we looked at last week. Kind of Hitler comes to power in Germany, the Nazis take over. The Holocaust didn't happen right away. What we saw during this time is kind of an escalation where more and more Jews were losing their rights, being separated and discriminated against in Germany and in the areas Germany came to control. And it escalated to, once World War II broke out, the Nazis initiated a plan for a final solution, meaning they wanted to actually just kill all of the Jewish people in Europe. And this is where you start to see those the concentration camps becoming death camps, where people are basically just sent to die or work until they die. So when we say the Holocaust, it really refers to this time in the 1940 to 1945, when the Nazis were committing mass murder on an industrial scale. This all happened in the context of World War II, so we'll study that more down the road. But just to understand now, you should understand that Germany, basically beginning in 1939, with the start of World War II, Germany rapidly took over large parts of Europe, everything from Poland in the east to down to France over in the west. The Nazis actually took over France during World War II. So the Nazis were persecuting Jews and other people throughout this whole area. A lot of the death camps were not even in Germany proper. They were in Poland or Hungary. So this was really taking place throughout Europe because the Nazis, for this time during World War II, had control of almost all of Europe. And war also is something that often goes with genocide. Genocide is often committed during war. But as we said before, the Holocaust did not begin with bold or even unusual brutality. It escalated. It began gradually with discrimination, segregation, isolation, economic strangulation. Anti-Semitic acts were endorsed by the state, making victims feel insecure and unwelcome. So it was this process of taking away Jews' citizenship, taking away their rights, convincing German people that they were subhuman. And when you do these things, you create a situation in which genocide is possible.